There are still a few races from Election Day in our area that are in the middle of a runoff.
We'll tell you who is still left on the ballot with the final day of voting right around the corner.
And police arrested a suspect related to the killing of United Healthcare's CEO. How law enforcement managed to track him down.
And a big drop from Monday to Tuesday, and a bigger drop as we get out towards Wednesday morning. How cold it'll be for you tonight. That's in your first warning weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Early voting for Austin runoff elections ends today, and you could soon have a say in who helps lead Austin ISD. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jayla Washington.
And I'm Will Dupree. This all comes after no one candidate secured more than 50% of the vote in the race for position 8 on the school board. The two remaining candidates are Fernando Lucas de Orioste and Lindsay Stringer. De Orioste spent the first decade of his career at Austin ISD largely as a special education teacher. He's now the director of advocacy services at a Round Rock law firm. It works to resolve issues with school districts. He is also the vice president of the Texas Organization of Parents, Attorneys, and Advocates. We asked him about his top priorities should he be elected.
The 10 years of advocacy that I've been doing is all special education related, or by and large 95% special education. So certainly continuing those efforts in special education. Also coming up to the board as a family advocate. I'm very interested in kind of repairing and improving the relationships with the community and the families that directly interface with AISD.
And the other candidate is Lindsay Stringer. She is a lifelong Austinite as well as an Austin High grad. She's been in public education her entire career, starting as a 5th grade teacher in Baltimore public schools. Stringer is also an Austin ISD parent and school volunteer. She works for the National Math and Science Initiative, and we also talked to her about her priorities.
Increasing enrollment and our financial stability, improving student outcomes. We have wildly different outcomes for students depending on your racial background, your economic background, if you have special needs, and those have persisted for decades. And so I'm really concerned about that.
If you cannot vote early, Election Day is December 14th. That is this coming Saturday. We have details on these two candidates in the runoff for you at KXAN.com. Now, for some voters, their runoff ballot also includes District 7 for Austin City Council, which represents North Austin. Those two candidates in the runoff are Mike Siegel and Gary Bledsoe. Siegel got the highest number of votes during the general election, but it should be noted that neither secured more than 50% to outright win. Siegel is a city attorney and a civil rights lawyer. Bledsoe is also a civil rights lawyer and the head of the NAACP Texas. While only District 7 residents will get to vote in this runoff, the person, whoever should win, will help make decisions for all Austinites on topics that include everything from parks to public safety and roads.
First warning weather.
On this Tuesday afternoon, we're taking a live look over South Austin there. And if you've been out and about a little bit today, maybe headed to lunch or something, you'll notice it's much more cool than it was yesterday. And Freddie, we're checking in with you now. And as these temperatures, we're looking at them out there right now, they're only going to get colder, maybe unfortunately.
Yeah, especially as we get into the overnight hours without the cloud coverage, all that daytime heating is just going. Take a look at the difference between yesterday and today. You can see some big changes and then some not so big changes. Georgetown at 22-degree difference from yesterday. Fredericksburg at 24-degree difference from yesterday. So overall, we're continuing to see some changes after that front has come through, and tonight will be the biggest change of them all. Another thing that we've been noticing is the winds have been picking up anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour right now, with wind gusts to 25 to 30 miles per hour. We've been able to see that continue overall. Here's a live look out of our Whittlesey Landscape Supplies camera in Liberty Hill. And this is now going to be something that many of us are going to see see, especially as the clouds start filtering out. And we've seen that over the past about hour and a half. You get into the metro, and now we're starting to see some sunshine in there as well. San Marcos, Lockhart, Bastrop, Giddings, Rockdale, and LaGrange. You will get some sunshine before the day is said and done. And over the next couple of days, it looks like these cooler conditions are going to stick around. 64 for tomorrow. As we get into Thursday, 65 degrees. And Friday, we're looking at about 74. So that Friday temperature, that's where we finally go above average once again. So let's talk about those nice fresh days ahead. The freeze that's possible overnight tonight, and then the rain returning over the weekend. We'll have all of this coming up in your first warning weather.
Okay, Freddie, thank you. Well, a family is without a home now after a fire in South Austin this morning. It happened off Stastny Lane and Pleasant Valley Road. Austin fire crews reported seeing heavy fire in and outside of the home around 3 o'clock this morning. The fire also spread to the home next door. Thankfully, everyone was able to evacuate from both homes safely and no injuries were reported, but crews say someone frying a turkey caused the fire. And while that's not a common case, space heaters are. So AFD now taking this as an opportunity to remind people to be careful as the weather gets colder.
Space heaters are being used a lot this time of year. If you're going to be using them, there needs to be nothing combustible, no combustible materials, no blankets, no pets, nothing around that will catch fire, because we do see a lot of those fires as the temperatures start to drop.
Meanwhile, Austin investigators are also looking into a house fire in North Austin. The Austin Fire Department responded at about 2 this morning to a home on Caddo Street. No one was home at the time of that fire, and no one got hurt either. This is all in North Austin off I-35 near Breaker Lane and North Lamar.
Turning now to a big national story that everyone has been following. Overnight, prosecutors in New York City officially charged shooting suspect Luigi Mangione with the murder of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
That 26-year-old suspect remains in a Pennsylvania prison today after his arrest Monday at a McDonald's, where an employee recognized him and tipped off the police. NBC's Stephanie Gosk is following this and has the latest on this ongoing investigation.
Luigi Mangione is being held in this prison here in Pennsylvania. He now faces murder charges for CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, on top of charges here in Pennsylvania for gun possession and lying to police about his identity. He had been, before his arrest, on the run for 5 days. The NYPD saying publicly that the last time they saw him was at a bus station the day of the murder. He then ended up at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, about 280 miles from New York City, where he was having breakfast when an employee at that McDonald's recognized him from the photos that had been circulating from the NYPD and called the police. The police arrived on the scene. One of the officers, only 6 months on the job, asked Mangione, who was sitting at a table with a medical mask over his face, to lower that mask. They said they knew they had their man. In his possession, a number of fake IDs, as well as a gun with a suppressor that authorities are saying was 3D printed and similar to the weapon that was used in the murder. They also found a 3-page handwritten note that a senior law enforcement officer tells NBC News said, quote, "These parasites had it coming." Now, overnight, United Health Group, that is the parent company of United Healthcare, released a statement saying they hope that this arrest provides at least some relief to Brian Thompson's friends and family. Back to you.
Well, you may remember earlier on this year, we told you about a contest of sorts that was being put on by the city of Austin. It's called the Bright Green Futures Program. And joining me again today with my thanks is Mary Pretty, who is the program manager of the program. Mary, if you would please tell our viewers what, again, the Bright Green Futures Program is.
Yeah, Bright Green Futures is a competitive grant program that provides funding for sustainability projects for Austin area pre-K through 12 schools.
Your office recently awarded several grants. How much money was awarded this year?
Yes, we did. Recently awarded $146,000 in grants. We've got 54 projects that are being for 50 different schools. Yes, it was a good year. The program allows up to $3,000 grants. The majority of the schools did receive that, but we had some grants for as little as $250, $400. So
What were some of the projects that stood out?
As in past years, I don't know if the schools all get together, but it seems like there was a theme. One of the themes this year was school beautification. So we had some murals, some campus cleanups. A couple of projects that really stood out to me were wildfire awareness. We had a couple of schools that are really concerned with the drought conditions and thought that that's something that they should get involved in. And they're working with Austin Fire on that. Had a couple of bird sanctuaries. We had one of the schools is putting a cooling system over their chicken coop.
So we've done 2024. It sounds like it was a successful program. When will we launch 2025? When can we start promoting that with you?
We'll begin accepting applications August 15th, and they'll run from August 15th through October 1st.
All right. Mary, thank you very much. Mary Pretty, the program manager of the Bright Green Futures program. We really appreciate your time again today.
Rich, they've given so much money to different projects all around our area. You were saying that it's a really big amount, too.
Since 2012, when this program first launched, they have given away more than $1 million.
Wow.
And over 100,000 students have been impacted by the grants that have been awarded and the work that is done and after that.
That's incredible. I'm glad you
really
highlighted
is.
them, yeah, in their
It
efforts.
really is.
You know, one of the biggest things that we've been watching is obviously how cold it's going to be tonight. And just to kind of give everyone a context of where we normally see our average first freeze, because that is possible for tonight, especially in the hill country. We're a little behind the times here. Normally, October 31st to November 6th is when we see that first freeze. And now we're in December, and we haven't seen it in many spots yet. We did see a few spots in Gillespie County and Mason County a couple of weeks ago, and that was in low-lying areas. But overall, as far as widespread freeze, we haven't seen that just quite yet. And it looks like we may reach that tonight. In fact, temperatures at this point for tonight, 28 degrees in Fredericksburg, 26 in Mason, 26 in Llano, 28 in San Saba, 31 in Dripping Springs, 36 in Austin. A bit different for the metro compared to everywhere else, just because of, you know, it's a little harder to get the temperatures to drop that quickly, especially with one area that soaks up all the heat. Everything else could drop down to 32 or below as we get into the early morning hours. The clouds and radar, play this out. Starting to see the clouds break apart for the metro, Round Rock, Georgetown, down to San Marcos, getting a bit more sunshine out there. We zoom out a bit more. There's the front that came through yesterday, or well, overnight, and now farther down towards the south, about to move through the Rio Grande Valley. Temperatures current right now, 52 degrees in Fredericksburg, 54 in Austin. Looks like we could actually break that 60-degree mark for today. 55 in Giddings, 58 in LaGrange, and down in San Marcos, we're looking at about 56 degrees. Play this out a bit more over the next couple of hours. No real big changes, clear skies, and that's what's going to help all that daytime heating just go, and our temperatures drop pretty quickly overnight tonight, especially with the drier air that's settled into the area. We'll get clouds coming back Thursday into Friday, and then the return of rainfall. Let's focus on the rest of the day today, though. We're continuing to see winds be pretty strong out there. Wind gust 25 to 30 miles per hour for many spots. Bastrop 29, LaGrange 27, Giddings 29, and that continues Fredericksburg at 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts throughout most of the day today. It's not until we get to about 5, 6 o'clock that things start to slow down, and then overnight we're finally seeing winds back down to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Temperatures for tomorrow, they'll be back up into the 60s as we continue, but we'll start off pretty cold, and then we'll slowly get back into the 50s and get to about 57 by 1 p.m., and then by about 4 p.m. we're back up to about 60 degrees. 7-day forecast, it's going to be tonight and tomorrow that we'll continue to watch. It's going to be kind of cold out there. Rain chances return as we get out towards Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then another front arrives, and I'll talk about that in our next half hour. But for now, let's send it over to Rich with a look at cold fronts.
Thank you, Freddie. In the last hour, we talked about two of the types of cold fronts that we get in Central Texas during the course of the year. One of them is the Pacific front. This is the milder of the three that I'll show you. The second one are the Canadian fronts. These move in from the northwest to the north and sometimes from the northeast, and this gives us more of a cool down than the Pacific fronts. But the worst of these, as far as I'm concerned, are these Arctic cold fronts. These originate up in the Arctic Circle and move rather rapidly through Canada on down into the States. They generally occur from November to March. They typically here in Central Texas come through dry, But unlike the Canadian front, when it gets here, you know it, because it's an instantaneous sharp drop in temperature and a noticeable increase in the wind speeds. Minimal precipitation, but again, very windy. And those windy conditions give us those low wind chill readings that we have. And tomorrow in First Warning Weather University, we're going to talk a little bit about the wind chill. But for now, just know that we haven't had an Arctic front yet, but I think we may have one or two before the winter season is over. Hope we don't, but it's always a possibility. Just think back to 2021.
Welcome back, everybody. 12:22 on a Tuesday, and heaters may start to kick in tonight because of a near widespread freeze that is expected all across Central Texas tomorrow morning. And that could create an increase in demand on the state's power grid.
Today we wanted to bring in an expert to discuss the costs that could be associated with that. So this afternoon we are joined by Kerry King. He is a research scientist at the University of Texas at Austin, not too far from the station here, and the assistant director of the Energy Institute. Kerry, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
It seems very apropos given what we're expecting with the weather here to talk a little bit more about the power grid. So when temperatures are expected to dip like they are in the morning, what does that do to the cost of providing electricity?
Well, the cost of providing electricity for the power generation units that are on the grid does generally increase a little bit just because there's higher demand. And when you have higher demand, the prices go up because you're asking for the higher cost, the next higher cost generator to turn on. And so this tends to happen when we get these freezes and cold snaps. And the morning conditions are often the highest demand when, as you say, people are turning on their heaters in the beginning of the morning.
So how does that impact what we end up paying for our electricity bills? A lot of people at home probably wondering, are we going to be paying more?
Right, certainly a concern from Winter Storm Uri, and generally these short-term fluctuations occur on what they call the wholesale market, and those prices do not generally translate directly to a household consumer. Those costs are shielded by the retail provider, the person you pay your bill to. During Uri, there was an ability for customers to buy a electricity contract that was directly linked to the price of wholesale electricity. And that caused some of those consumers to pay extremely high bills during that week. But that has, one of the changes since 2021 has been to outlaw that kind of contract that directly links a customer to the exposure and wholesale prices that can spike during winter storms.
Yeah, speaking of that winter storm, of course, that is not too far from a lot of people's memory, that 2021 deadly winter storm. So in your analysis, as you're looking at kind of what ERCOT has shared, the state's power grid operator, about how well it could potentially handle and avoid a situation like that, what do you think?
Right, well, on paper, you know, the amount of power generation does look generally adequate, and the question is how do conditions play out in the real time. And in Uri, the combination was, of course, cold but freezing weather. So we haven't had a chance to really stress if the changes made since Winter Storm Uri in 2021 have been put in place, and the penalties for generators for not winterizing. We haven't really had a chance to test that fully. So the electric grid looks good. We've got some new changes such as batteries and more solar, which helps in the daytime. The batteries help a tad in the morning, but they can't help for a day-long outage event. And the natural gas system as well has had some changes and preparations and regulations for winterization. But every time there's a sharp cold snap that gets near freezing or below, we still do see drops in natural gas supply, which again affects the price of electricity, at least on the wholesale side.
Right. So as we know, this winter has been pretty mild, actually unusually warm, to say the least. And ERCOT leaders are predicting a greater than average chance that extreme cold events will come. So we were curious, what has changed, and is there anything that could happen to, I guess, reduce those outages from happening?
Right. Well, ERCOT does, their job is to do a good planning and have communications with not only the electric suppliers, but also hopefully some communications with the natural gas system to understand the risk to supply from that. And so everything is preparation. There's not much you can do kind of in the short term aside from being able to maintain great communication amongst all the partners and try to understand how to, if you had to, better coordinate rolling blackouts if that were to occur. But measures have been put in place, and Hopefully we don't have to test them out, but their job is to assume that another storm like Uri or worse could occur and to know how they'd respond.
Certainly something scary that we all think about.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're looking out live right now over downtown Austin from our Austonian camera, if you're heading out to get lunch or pick up anything at this point, you might want to put a jacket on because temperatures out there, Jayla, are pretty cool.
Yeah, don't let that sunshine fool you. You know I like to show my shoulders every now and then, Freddie. We've got the color coordination going on.
You got to keep the jacket close today.
Like maybe
Jacket.
done long sleeves today, or yes, the jacket close by.
A shawl, just kind of.
Oh, look, I love a little like over the shoulder moment too,
Yeah,
like a
there you
little
go.
blazer or
Could be
something.
cute.
Yeah, but you know, tonight we're going to expect you to bundle up because everyone and everything should bundle up. I actually have the 4 P's that I want to show you. Just a reminder: people, pets, plants, and pipes. So when we talk about people, we're talking about dressing for conditions, limit time outside, check on others, and watch for icy roads. When we talk about pets, bring your pets inside if possible. Provide shelter, and blankets obviously do help. Plants, bring inside all those plants if you can. Cover with a blanket, cover with tarp, or avoid frost. And when we talk about pipes, insulate exposed pipes and leave a faucet dripping if possible, because we want to make sure all 4 of the P's are taken care of. Here's a look at those temperatures and what they're expected to drop to around 36 on Wednesday, 38 as you get out towards Thursday, but that's the metro temperature. Everything around it, well far below that as well. The main concern is going to be tonight going into tomorrow, and then we finally get back up to the 50s for the mornings as you look out towards Friday and Saturday. Here's a live look at our West Shore Homes camera in central Austin. Mostly clear. This is what we talked about. We're starting to see the clouds breaking apart, and you can still see them off in a distance, but they're still there. Temperatures at this point: 54 in Austin, 56 in San Marcos, Fredericksburg 53 degrees, Georgetown at 54, and Bastrop at around 57 degrees. And there go the clouds that I was talking about. They're on their way out. We're going to be talking about these nice couple of days ahead, the freeze that's possible for tonight, and of course the chance of rain returning. That'll be our focus in this half hour.
All right, Freddie, thank you. Well, we all are feeling a little bit of whiplash with this weather. 80s yesterday, another drop in temperatures expected today, as you just heard Freddie mention.
And the city of Austin is planning to activate its cold weather shelter today as temperatures, as Freddie mentioned, could drop to the mid-30s well into Wednesday morning. To help get across the message, the city is partnering with community groups who work with people living on the streets. This is the first activation after the city simplified its process.
Now, the Austin EMS Association, they are the organization that really pushed for these changes. They include eliminating the complicated multi-tiered activation system. Instead, the cold weather shelters will simply activate when temperatures are expected to reach 35 degrees or colder overnight. The notification that those shelters are opening will also now happen earlier instead of the day of. And that was something that was previously a major concern for the EMS Association. We have a look at the rest of the changes right now on KXAN.com.
Traffic flying in and out of Austin's airport is back to normal today after a ground delay disrupted travel plans for many passengers over this last weekend.
The Federal Aviation Administration confirmed flights into Austin did slow down on Sunday. And Congressman Lloyd Doggett is criticizing what he is calling a short notice delay, claiming some delays lasted more than 2.5 hours. Doggett called the FAA slow at getting staff to Austin's airport.
A spokesperson for the FAA noted that the agency hired more than 1,800 air traffic controllers in 2024, hitting its target. It expects to bring on 2,000 more next year. At Austin's airport, the FAA said there are 33 certified professional controllers and 6 in training. The agency says more trainees will come to Austin by the spring. However, Congressman Doggett remains weary of that.
I frankly am not going to believe the promises until I see the personnel in the tower.
KXAN did reach out to the FAA for comment on Doggett's statements regarding air traffic control staffing levels at Austin's airport. We will update this story once we receive any response.
Now, when it comes to airline delays at Austin's airport, more than 1 out of every 5 arriving flights were delayed last year. That is according to the numbers from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Out of the nearly 93,000 flights at the airport in 2023, roughly 22% were delayed. and a little more than 1% were canceled. Now, JetBlue saw the highest percentage of delays, with nearly 35% of flights running late. Hawaiian Airlines, on the other hand, had the best. They were the best on-time performance, with only 17% of their flights delayed. By the way, a flight is considered delayed if it arrives at the gate more than 15 minutes or more after the scheduled arrival time.
The Texas Department of Criminal Justice is behind on paying employees their overtime pay.
I was able to catch up with one former employee yesterday who tells us he has been waiting for about 6 months for hundreds of dollars. He was never paid.
My pay's been messed up several times, but this time I've been waiting since May.
That pay almost $700 of overtime, the employee told us. A TDCJ spokesperson says all standard paychecks, though, are being paid on time each month, but says there is a new time clock system that sometimes requires timesheets to be manually adjusted. That's what's taking time here, leading to those delays in additional pay.
The big question here, is this legal?
The short answer is this is not legal. But the challenge that these workers face is there are significant loopholes in Texas law that make it super hard to recover.
Civil rights attorney Austin Kaplan says employees would need to get the U.S. Department of Labor involved, which does offer free legal services, but it would have to decide to take on that case, which takes time. TDCJ says it processes payroll for 31,000 employees all across the state, and that it's now looking into how many workers are still owed money and how much the agency owes them. It's unclear how long it will take for TDCJ to pay all their employees money that they're owed. However, the agency says it is, quote, actively working to improve its timekeeping system, procedures, and employee training to minimize these issues and streamline the payroll process.
All right, going in depth on this pay delay comes after lawmakers approved sweeping raises for the Department of Criminal Justice employees. In 2022, the state approved a 15% pay increase for correctional officers and a 10% increase for all TDCJ employees. It also approved another 5% increase to go into effect in 2 phases. That first was last year, while the second phase was this past September. TDCJ says that the increases resulted in a minimum of $3,000 raises for all of its workers.
Leaders in San Marcos would like to know how you feel about how it moves people around the community. This month, the city is running a transportation survey. 40,000 Texas State students call San Marcos home, and the city is still growing. So having a reliable transportation system in San Marcos is key. Local leaders say they believe the system is working, but it could have some improvements.
Making them better is the goal. That's why we need the customer feedback. You know, we don't want to fall into the trap of thinking that we know what people need and where they want to go.
That survey in San Marcos runs through New Year's Eve. We have a link with this story at KXAN.com. For some perspective on the need for public transportation in San Marcos, more than 5% of households there in some neighborhoods do not have access to vehicles. This is all according to data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Economic Research on Food Desert Communities.
Welcome back, everybody. It is that time of year again as millions of people getting ready to order gifts for the holiday. NBC's Vicki Nguyen shows us how some of those packages eventually make it to your front door.
Through every twist and turn, this is the kind of well-crafted maze your holiday package navigates before landing under the Christmas tree.
I'm here in Bayonne, New Jersey at a UPS hub where they are gearing up for their busiest time of the year. With me is Jack O'Neill. He's the hub manager. So Jack, what is happening in this facility right now?
You're seeing automation help UPS deliver packages with speed and agility here. In the Bayonne facility alone, we have the capacity to process 60,000 packages per hour and over 800,000 packages a day.
The warehouse operates 24/7. Trucks filled with packages are unloaded onto conveyor belts. The shipping labels are scanned by a camera tunnel that sets each parcel onto a predetermined course based on its final destination.
As it passes through that camera tunnel, it's going to read the weight and the dimension of the package. And then it'll come across the sorter And the camera in the system has already given it sort instructions based off the destination of the package.
So that's why I'm seeing some of these packages being shifted down different chutes.
That's correct.
How bad is it when someone has extra labels on the box?
It does impact the automation, but that's why we still have our people, and our people are our greatest asset.
Employees like Trayvon Fuqua, whose job it is to remove any smaller packages from the conveyor belts.
So those small boxes are okay?
Yeah.
Okay, but these are already in a tote, so they're good. Yeah. Oh, here we go. It's happening so fast.
Helping Trayvon behind the scenes is a team of supervisors in the UPS control room who monitor 600 cameras to make sure no package gets left behind.
We got Kev Smith from PD2 going to 5-4.
What are your supervisors specifically looking for on all of these cameras?
They're making sure the package flow is going to the right destination, and they're switching destinations from time to time. They're changing the belt speeds and the direction of the package flow.
The team effort helps parcels move down to the straight line singulator system. Here, humans work alongside the automation to move the packages into a single file line.
So each of these chutes is going to a different zip code?
That's correct.
When you get enough packages for one zip code, the person takes the bag, seals it up.
Exactly, and sends it on its way.
To make sure your packages get to their correct destination safely, UPS says pay attention to two key areas: how you package your item and the shipping label. Francesca Carollo is an assistant manager at UPS, and she showed me her best practices.
What's the #1 mistake people make when they're trying to pack their items to ship them?
I think the box selection. Okay. We're looking for something preferably new, cardboard box, and the adequate material inside for protection and safety of your items.
So if you're packing something like a glass candle,
yes,
for example, like a couple pieces of packing paper, that's not going to be enough.
No, we like the bubble wrap, 2 inches all around. When it comes to the boxes, we don't recommend masking tape or duct tape or cellophane. We use a 3-inch packing tape.
Oh, okay.
And we make like an H, so we're covering all our seams.
When it comes to labels, UPS says double check your shipping address, especially the zip code. And if you're reusing a box, make sure to remove any old labels.
So we got the packing material, we got the tape, we got the box, we got the label, and that's it.
That's it.
All right, sounds good. This will get there safely.
Well, the good news about us all living in the same city, y'all can just bring my Christmas presents.
Right, directly to you. Yeah.
So
no need for shipping at all.
Exactly. No pressure, though.
Beyonce's whiskey?
You know what? That would be nice, Freddie. And I would finally forgive you for trying it without me that one time.
Rich, why are you on that side, Rich?
I know.
I know, you all swapped out. What happened?
Just to keep things fresh.
Gotta keep them guessing.
So, of course, if you want to continue watching Jayla and Rich, you can catch them every Saturday and Sunday morning and see the shenanigans that go on there. Hey, by the way, if you want to walk outside right now, you can actually see some wonderful conditions because the sun has come back out and clouds have started to clear out as well. As you notice, we're looking at clouds moving through Lockhart right now into Bastrop and Giddings. Well, it's not going to pop up now. I'll show it at the end of the newscast because pretty much everyone else is seeing sunshine now except for Bastrop. I just looked at that camera just a moment ago and it was just completely cloudy in that spot. In fact, I'll probably ask Rich if he could maybe put it in the first part of his weather so that way he can show you Bastrop. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. Take a look at clouds right now. 54 degrees. Winds coming in from the north at 12 miles per hour at this point. And this is what we're going to continue to see. The sunshine that's pretty much moving through, except obviously out towards the eastern counties for now. And then things will clear out by about 2 p.m. I don't expect for the clouds to stick around overall. They don't return again until Thursday, but it's the lack of cloud coverage that's going to help our temperatures drop pretty quickly tonight. Pollen count, trends, upward trend for cedar and mold, medium category for both of them, but tonight is going to be the cold one out there. I keep showing you this graphic because I want to remind you guys, it's going to be cold. 28 in Fredericksburg, 26 in Llano and Mason, 28 in San Saba, 30 in Burnett, 33 in Lampasas. It's only downtown that won't drop down to 32 or below. But everyone else around, as you can tell, expected to drop. We could have freeze warnings popping up. In fact, I'm already starting to see some alerts, but they're mostly out towards the eastern counties. We're dealing with 3 different National Weather Services here, so they all each have criteria that's just a tad different. So we're we're already seeing some alerts pop up past Rockdale and Giddings. We just haven't gotten there yet for parts of Central Texas. Airport forecast for tomorrow, 38 degrees starting off early in the morning. By the time we get to the afternoon, 60 degrees, and then by the evening hours, we'll be back down to 51 and then drop pretty quickly. And there's the rain that I was talking about that's going to return for Friday. That continues out through Friday into Saturday, and then kind of calms down on Sunday before that next front starts to approach. In fact, let's go and take a look at that front as it comes through Monday into Tuesday. That front is expected to help our temperatures just a tad, and then the rainfall continues as we get out farther out as well. Let's go ahead and take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look right now at your 7-day forecast really quickly. You're noticing that the temperatures are expected to drop for tonight going into tomorrow. We look out towards your rain chances for Saturday and Sunday, and then that next front comes in Monday into Tuesday. I want to thank Rich because he actually was nice enough to bring up that camera. So let me go ahead and send it over to Rich Siegel now so he can show you.
All right, so he asked for the Bastrop camera. You know, we're seeing a lot of sunshine here downtown, but over in Bastrop, the sky's still overcast, and look at the winds blowing out of the north. We're getting some wind gusts in excess of about 25 to 30 miles an hour. Showers and thunderstorms in the southeast, that's where the worst of the weather is going to be today. It's going to cause some travel issues because the severe risk for today and this evening, essentially from Atlanta on over to Birmingham and Montgomery, that's in the yellow shade. That would mean a low risk for a slight risk for severe weather. So as we get to 3 o'clock today, we're looking at perhaps some moderate delays. Now, this is a change from what we had in the last hour. Moderate delays flying out towards Atlanta with minor delays out at Denver, and then from Dallas to New Orleans up to Nashville. And then this clock will wind very slowly out to 6 o'clock, and we're still seeing those delays in Atlanta, New Orleans, Nashville, not so much in Dallas. And we're also seeing potential delays, minor delays in New York, and still at Denver. So those are the travel issues for this afternoon. Always check with your air carrier to make sure that your flight is taking off on time.
A dog rescuer in West Texas is hoping to rescue every single dog she finds on both sides of the border, giving them a chance at a loving home. And so far, she has already rescued 3,000 dogs.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. Patricia Zine is her name. She launched a dog rescue Facebook page nearly 3 years ago where she really just posts and keeps track of all of the dogs that she's been able to save. She says she takes the dogs to the vet, and once they are cleared, she helps them cross the border to find a new home. So sweet. Right now, she has 50 dogs ready to be adopted.
The day I rescued Duke, it just opened up something in me that I decided this is what I want to do. It's a huge satisfaction when I see them getting adopted, when I see them getting healthy. You know, that doesn't have a price.
I used to work in El Paso, so it kind of makes me emotional saying this because you have so many stray border dogs who are sort of running around, so really sweet that she's helping them out. She hopes to open her own dog shelter in both Juarez and El Paso to help expand her efforts. Right now, her network includes 5 people in Juarez, 6 in El Paso, and a few others as far as Tijuana. Amazing.
Oh, so amazing. Well, if you already know you want to go to the Austin City Limits Music Festival next year without even seeing the lineup, soon you can get your tickets. Pre-sale for the 2025 festival actually opens up tomorrow. ACL will be back at Zilker Park October 3rd through the 5th, and then the 10th through the 12th. Event organizers are giving you a chance to snag some of those 3-day tickets at what they say is the lowest price before the show lineup even drops in the spring. Layaway plans are also coming back, and you'll have a chance to choose general admission or VIP passes. Tickets will drop at 10 on Wednesday morning, so get your wallets ready there.
Another good Christmas gift, maybe.
Maybe so. That actually is a good idea.
That's so true.
Wow, he was like oddly excited about that.
Rich, we'll go to ACL together next year.
Oh, no.
He's like, for someone else.
There shouldn't be me.
Usually the bands that play there, they're all great bands, but I don't know all, maybe 1 or 2, and that's it.
We'll bring you up to
and they perform at night. And of course, I have to be here in the morning.
He says that. I'm like, we have to be here at the same time, and I'll still be out doing stuff.
Well, there's a 50-year age difference.
Well, speaking of night, we want everyone to be aware that tonight it's dropping down to 36 in the metro and much colder as you get farther out. So be careful. because it's going to be down to 26 to 28 out in the hill country.
Ooh, going to be cold out there. All right, everybody, be careful. And thank you all so much for joining us here on KXAN News at Noon. This was a nice time at the table here today.
Had a good day.
Appreciate it. Well, we will see you back here in about 30 minutes with another update. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Take care.